Welcome to my video. In this video, I'm going to show you my experiment growing oyster mushrooms from some mushrooms that I purchased at the grocery store. I saw on some other channels on YouTube that you can grow mushrooms from little cuttings that you take off of mushrooms that you purchase at the grocery store. So I decided to try it out. These cuttings are 3 days old, and they've been growing in the dark under my kitchen sink inside their little plastic tent, and they're growing so well. Let's take a look. All right, so you can see there are these little white chunks, and then all around them are these fuzzy outgrowths. A really good example is this one right here. You can see how the fuzz is growing off of this little piece of mushroom. So these are store-bought oyster mushrooms, and I selected a little bit out of the stem at the base of some of the mushrooms, and I especially looked for those that already seemed a little bit fuzzy, and I just cut them off and took them to the side. I didn't take any special type of care with them. I just put them on the edge of the cutting board while I was cooking my dinner. And I saved the little plastic tray that the mushrooms came in from the store. Next, I selected some brown paper lunch bag, just a regular brown paper lunch sack, and I tore it into big pieces and put the whole lunch sack in a small pot of boiling water. I let that boil for a few seconds, like 30 seconds to a minute, with the lid on. That sterilizes the paper so that the mushrooms don't have any competition from other microbes that you don't want to have. Then I took the pot off the heat and I lifted my wet, hot paper into this tray and just let it cool down for a few minutes. When it was cool enough to touch, I picked up the paper and I squeezed out some of the moisture. And then I just arranged my little mushroom pieces onto the wet brown paper, and then tucked the whole thing inside this plastic grocery sack. And then I put it under my kitchen sink, and right away on the first day I was able to see a little bit of the fuzz growing around the mushroom pieces. But now on day 3 it's growing so well that you can easily see it on the camera if I tilt the tray. I'm really happy that they're doing so well. They must like the temperature. The temperature in my home is about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It is November, and we like to keep it pretty warm. So these guys are doing fantastic. I saw how to do this on another YouTube channel. I'll link the video below so you can watch her video. The method is very simple, and it's working beautifully for me, so I'm really grateful to her for showing me how to do this. Oyster mushrooms are some of my favorite mushrooms. Not everybody likes them. They have sort of a weird flavor, but I've always thought they were really exciting and exotic. You know, they grow in these beautiful shelf-like formations off of the sides of rotting trees in the wild. I think they're very beautiful. When oyster mushrooms are cultivated, they're grown on straw. Some people grow them on coffee grounds or hardwood shavings, hardwood sawdust, coconut fiber. They do well on many different materials. They're a very robust species of mushroom. And in fact, during the First World War, they were cultivated in Germany. I believe I'm correct that it was the First World War, as a source of food for people who are suffering from disruptions in their normal ways of living because of the war. So I'm going to transplant these. I'm going to take this mushroom mycelium and plant it into a 5-gallon bucket filled with wet cardboard. I'm collecting cardboard and cutting it into small pieces, and when I'm ready, I'm going to boil the cardboard, just like I did with this brown paper. I have some coffee grounds that I'm going to be mixing into it, and then I'll plant little pieces. I'm going to take this as the tissue grows, the whole thing will turn white. So I'll tear it into small pieces and spread that throughout my wet cardboard in my 5-gallon bucket. Then I'll just set the whole bucket outside and wait for a few weeks. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm going to drill some holes in the sides of the bucket so the air can reach the mycelium, because that's what causes the little mushrooms to grow. When they just start growing, they're called pins, and there's actually one starting already, coming pretty early. You can see he's right there. Get the contrast, the little mushroom pin. That's probably the best angle. But there's a tiny baby mushroom starting to grow up right there. When the mycelium is mature and comes into contact with the air, they put out all those little pins, and that's where the mushrooms develop from. So I'll come back and show you guys how that process goes. I'm really expecting some good results because this part of the process has done so nicely. When oyster mushrooms are growing outside, they like a temperature of about 55 degrees, and I live in Washington State, so it might be a little bit cold for them at this time of year in November, but I'm excited about it. I'm going to try it out anyway. So let's put them back in their dark hidey hole under the kitchen sink in their little tent. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.